And now I give the floor to Presidential Administration spokesman on ATO-related issues, Colonel Andriy Lysenko. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Now the information about the events in the ATO area during last 24 hours. In Lugansk area, there were 3 enemy shellings. It happened during midnight till 1 a.m. in Bakhmutska highway. An enemy sniper was active for half an hour. Also, there were 2 enemy provocations near Novoalexandrovka village of Popasnyansky region. In the Donetsk area, the enemy continues actively use heavy weapons along the line during the day and at night. Enemy artillery shelling were observed in Zaitsevo and Pisky, and mortar shellings at the perimeter of occupied Gorlovka, Avdiivka, and near the Donetsk airport. Especially powerful repeated firing between ATO forces and the occupants were in Mayorsk and Avdiivka production area. During the last 24 hours in the Donetsk area, there were 38 enemy shellings, including 13 with the use of heavy weapons. In Mariupol area, the situation remains tense. At the line between Talakivka and Shirokina, the enemy repeatedly used artillery. At our positions, they launched more than 80 artillery shells. Also, the situation is tense in Mariinka region. Near Dokuchaevsk, they adhered to ceasefire regime ideally. On the whole, in Mariupol area, there were 20 enemy shellings, including 11 with the use of heavy weapons. During the last 24 hours, the enemy used air drones 4 times, and one of these devices were launched from the territory of Russian Federation, and the rest were in Mariupol area. These are Mariinka, Novotroitska, and the other coastline regions. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, no Ukrainian serviceman was killed. 2 were wounded. This happened in the course of the shellings. Losses of the enemy. During the last 24 hours, 5 were killed and 6 were wounded from so-called 3rd Brigade deployed in Gorlovka, 11th Regiment in Makeivka, and 7th Brigade in Debaltsevo. Near Kharkiv town, because of the fragmentation mine, a commander of 7th Detached Motorized and Rifle Brigade of Russian Occupation Forces, a colonel of Armed Forces of Russian Federation, Alexander Bushev, was killed. 2 of his security, these Russian Special Forces officers, were heavily wounded. And on the 29th and 30th of June, so-called 7th Brigade sustained heavy losses in Svetlodarska Bulge because of improper actions of their commander. He didn't have the information about the situations at the position. Bushuev provided misinformation to the commanders of so-called 2nd Army Corps about large-scale advance of ATO forces and asked for artillery support, and that led to new losses in the ranks of the militants. So there was tension in the conflict between Bushuev and his commanders and subordinates, and they got tired because of chaos in so-called 7th Brigade. Colonel was suspended from his duties and was sent to Donetsk. On the road, his car hit a mine. Commanders of the enemy planned to provide misinformation in order to hide the information about the causes of the death of Bushuev. Policemen of Avdiivka detained a militant. It was established that this local resident in May and June 2014 was the member of the militant group, and he served at checkpoint. He wasn't paid. That's why he decided to return his native Avdiivka.
He took with him two handheld grenades, 3 knives, and a gas gun, which was seized during the search in his premises. Yet another militant returned home to Ukraine with the help of security service program. Your family wait for you at home this time. An underage resident of Toretsk town, Donetsk region, used this program. He entered the ranks of illegal military formation under the influence of Russian propaganda. In July 2014, the young boy completed military training and was on guard at the checkpost, but after 1 month he quitted this illegal formation, and this is his confession. I decided to go to the security service body, and I call on those persons who are afraid to go to law enforcement bodies of Ukraine, to security service bodies of Ukraine. I would like to tell you that if you didn't kill people, you can come here, because only those who made grave crimes, they will be punished. But if you didn't shoot, you will not be punished. These days, Ukraine have received 14 counter battery radars from the USA. They are state-of-the-art means of identification and destruction of enemy's artillery. Similar radars are deployed in the US Army. The US radar station allows efficient identifications of locations of hostile batteries and transmit their coordinates to our artilleries in a fast manner, so that they fast respond to aggressive actions of the enemy. The multinational exercises Rapid Rider 2016 are ongoing. The airborne and helicopter unit conducted a well-coordinated attack on the fortified zone of imaginary enemy. The airborne raiders were supported by armored vehicles Spartan. At the same time, helicopters Mi-8 landed the reinforcement and launched an airstrike to support the land troops. At the same time, young policemen in Donetsk region trained in combat conditions. The program of training included forced foot march for 3 kilometers, working with armored vehicles and novel equipment, medical course, and UAV control course. Yesterday, Ukraine celebrated the Day of Naval Forces of Ukraine. The President of Ukraine awarded the title of Vice Admiral to the commander of Ukrainian fleet, Igor Voronchenko. Let's remind that Igor Voronchenko, before the war, was on service in Crimea and remained true to the oath during the Russian occupation time, and he moved to the continental Ukraine. The head of our state awarded Ukrainian Marines medals, and the President of Ukraine also assigned new name to the ship Kirovograd. It is renamed into Yuri Alefirenko. The captain of first rank, Yuri Alefirenko, was the head of 73rd Marine Center of Special Operations. He was in service during 2 wars in Afghanistan, and Yuri Alefirenko returned to service after retirement and was a commander of 42nd Battalion of Territorial Defense. For several months he was a combatant in Donbass. Soon he headed his own unit of Marines in autumn 2014 until winter 2015, they conducted many successful operations in the ATO area. On January 16, 2015, near Pavlopil village, not far from Mariupol, the officer identified location and provided coordinates for destruction of the hostile battery.